History doesn't unfold in straight lines. It jumps between moments, strange ones, brutal ones, unforgettable ones. What you're about to watch is a collection of stories that made people stop scrolling. Different centuries, different places, but always the same human nature.
This is the story of the Roman legion, the ultimate war machine. Imagine marching for miles, carrying the equivalent of a small refrigerator on your back. We're talking about 60 pounds of gear, the iconic gladius sword, heavy peeler javelins, and the large... Why are there not more people talking about the time pirates messed with Julius Caesar? This one's a cracker. So picture this. Pirates kidnap Julius Caesar. Big mistake. They demand a ransom. Caesar? He laughs. I'm worth more, he says. Ask for double. The pirates laugh. He promises to kill them all when he gets out. They laugh harder. Spoiler alert, they stopped laughing when Caesar came back, with ships. He crucified them. No joke. He literally did that. Because Julius Caesar, petty and terrifying. The centurions, the backbone of the Roman army, enforced this discipline with an iron fist. They were veterans, hardened by years of campaigning, and commanded respect through their experience and ruthlessness. The legionaries both feared and admired them. Stop dreaming about boring stuff. Learn about Julius Caesar's weirdest dream instead. One night, Caesar dreamt he slept with his mother. Gross, right? But ancient Roman priests, they said, no worries, mate. It just means you'll conquer the world. Because mother symbolized earth. So what did Caesar do? He quit his job in Spain, rode back to Rome, and decided to become a god. Yep, logic was totally optional in ancient Rome. Dream big, folks. The afternoon often saw the legionaries put down their weapons and pick up shovels, axes and hammers. They were skilled engineers and builders, capable of constructing fortified camps in a matter of hours. The legionary labored alongside his comrades, digging ditches. I'm sure you've heard the news. Julius Caesar's midlife crisis was one for the history books. Picture this. Julius Caesar, age 30, spots a statue of Alexander the Great. Alexander had conquered the world by then. Caesar, just giving speeches and arguing in court. Naturally, he sighed dramatically, got a bit depressed, and thought, time to get serious. So he marched back to Rome, ready to make history tremble. All because nothing motivates a Roman man like insecurity and statues. This is something. Caligula once conquered the ocean. Around AD 40, he marched his army to the coast, ready for battle. Instead of invading Britain, he ordered them to collect seashells. Yep, seashells. Declared victory over Neptune and threw a parade in Rome. Mad emperor or master of distractions, you decide. Imagine walking into a Roman villa on a cold morning, and the floor beneath your feet is warm. 2,000 years ago, the Romans mastered central heating, long before thermostats and radiators. This was the hypocaust, a brilliant invention from around 100 BCE. Wood-fired furnaces sent hot air beneath raised floors and inside hollow walls, gently warming entire buildings. Think of it as underfloor heating, Roman style. From steamy bathhouses to luxury homes, this system kept the empire cozy. Clay pipes, brick pillars, and clever engineering, all driven by fire and Roman ingenuity. And the legacy? It shaped heating design for over 2,000 years. They warmed an empire, one stone at a time.
One thing you'll notice quickly is how confident people were in their decisions. Kings, generals, crowds, all convinced they were right. History rarely punishes ignorance, it punishes certainty.
Ever wondered what happens when you mix fruit, power, and poison? Let's crash the Borgia's deadly dinner table. Cardinal Cornetto gets a golden invitation to dine at the Vatican. The menu? Creamed fruit, looks posh, smells lush, but it's got more venom than a politician's handshake. Cesare Borgia's grinning, all charm, no conscience. The Pope's sweating like Sunday roast. But the Cardinal? He's got nerves of steel, doesn't touch a bite. He stands, locks eyes with the Borgias and goes, God forgive you, Borgia. Then, plot twist, he tucks in anyway. Moments later, the real shocker. The Borgias start dropping like flies. Turns out, His Eminence served up an Uno reverse card, lacing their own food with poison before dinner. So the Cardinal came for supper. The Borgias left in coffins. Guess dessert really was to die for. You need to hear this. Julius Caesar's showdown with Sylla was like something out of a soap opera. Sylla demanded Caesar divorce his wife. Caesar's reply, nope. Sylla stripped him of everything, job, money, and nearly his life. Caesar fled, sick and hiding like an ancient Roman ninja. Relatives, bribes, and some persuasive Vestal virgins finally got him a pardon. Sylla warned, this kid will burn down your whole political party. Spoiler, he did. And that, my friends, is how Caesar defied a dictator. Before sunrise, the Roman legionary is already in motion. Armor donned, weapons ready, and drills commence. No excuses. The day begins with rigorous preparation, ensuring every soldier is battle ready. The early hours are crucial for honing skills and building endurance. Discipline is the first lesson of the day. Every movement is precise, every command followed without hesitation. This relentless training is what made the Roman army formidable. Credits World History Encyclopedia. His name was Longinus, a Roman soldier doing crowd control at a crucifixion. Jesus dies. Longinus jabs him with a spear to make sure. Blood and water spill out, and legend says it healed Longinus's blindness on the spot. Suddenly, this guy goes from Roman enforcer to, oops, that was Son of God. He quits the army, becomes a Christian, and gets beheaded for preaching. Centuries later, his spear becomes the spear of destiny, said to give power to whoever holds it. Charlemagne had it. Nazis wanted it. And all because one soldier followed orders a little too hard. Longinus, proof that stabbing the wrong guy can really turn your life around.
Different centuries, different technology, but the same belief keeps returning, that power, status, or tradition makes someone untouchable. It never does.
Stranger than fiction. Forget the solemn afterlife you've seen in documentaries. The real Egyptian underworld was wild, chaotic, and run by a pantheon of divine misfits, jackal-headed judges, fire-breathing baboons, and gods with truly bizarre hobbies. What I wish I knew about Osiris before my last history test. Spoiler, death was just his starter job, and HR has nothing on him. Seth took him apart. Isis played an ancient jigsaw, minus a key piece. Still, Osiris's new gig, running the afterlife like an immortal HR manager. Pass away and Osiris decides. Ghost farming shift or soul blender with Amit. Mythology, where passing away is just the job interview.
Welcome to ancient Egypt, where dying was basically an extreme sport mixed with a government audit. We've got jackal-headed HR reps, soul-splitting ghost squads, and gods with more family drama than a reality TV show. Stick around.
Exposing the weirdest creation myth ever. Stop thinking the Big Bang was wild. Meet Atum. You thought your morning routine was strange? Wait for this. So picture this, Atum, the OG Egyptian god, alone in the cosmic void with nothing but time and, well, himself. How does he kick off creation? By sneezing or spitting or, and I'm not making this up, the universe into existence. Suddenly the gods are here and Atum's thinking, right, what next? He levels up to a sun god, then shapeshifts into a snake, as you do, and later, a massive knife-wielding cat just to stab chaos serpents at sunrise. Ancient Egypt, where creation is complicated, and the gods are even more extra than your mate at a fancy dress party, so next time you sneeze, remember, Atum did it first, and literally started the world. Pause, cheeky. Atum world building with bodily fluids since 3000 BC. Ever wonder why we divide hours into 60 minutes, not 10, not 100, nope. It's because 5,000 years ago, some guys in robes stared at the stars and said, yep, 60 is the one. The Sumerians did not use base 10 like we do. They used base 60, the sexagesimal system. Why? Because 60 is divisible by everything, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, even 15 and 30. It was mathematically sexy before anyone invented calculators. They also thought a year had 360 days. Why? Because 360 divided nicely too. So they made time fit their calendar, their math, and probably their horoscopes. The Sumerian Empire is long gone, but their time system, still running your calendar 5,000 years later.
It's easy to judge these moments from a distance, but most of these decisions were made by ordinary people reacting under pressure, just like anyone would.
I think I messed up. Alfred the Great as England's first king? Nah, mate. The real first king of England was Aethelstan, Alfred's grandson. In 927 he took Wessex, Mercia and Northumbria and said, this is mine now, all of it. He beat the Vikings, conquered York, made the Welsh and Scots call him boss. Then just didn't bother marrying. No wife, no heirs. Just pure power. So yeah, England started under a guy who had no kids and all the kingdoms. Aethelstan, the OG king of England.
They called us meek, delicate, easy to control. They were wrong. This is the story of the women who fought and ruled. Welcome to the Middle Ages, where some of the toughest warriors wore dresses.
Medieval winter, wealth wasn't gold, it was food and firewood. Your fortune was measured in barrels of salted fish, piles of wood and sacks of grain. Every autumn was a frantic race to gather, pickle and store anything edible or burnable. Your home became a warehouse, Anglo-Saxon kingdoms into one nation. He's the main event, not a footnote, yet history barely mentions him. Alfred the Great gets the glory, William gets the headlines, but Aethelstan finished the job. He was a military powerhouse, a political genius and a patron of the arts. Imagine surviving winter in the Middle Ages. No radiators, no hot chocolate, just misery and a very real chance of dying. Picture this, one scratchy blanket between you, your kids and, if you're lucky, A goat. Insulation? Never heard of it. Your house is so drafty, the wind has its own bedroom. Firewood? That ran out in December, but the cold stuck around till April. You wake up with frost on your nose and someone's foot in your face. If you start coughing, bad news. The priest shows up not with medicine, but with last rites. Catching a cold could literally be the end. If you don't freeze, you might just starve. Cheery thought, right? Winter wasn't just rough, it was a team sport. And most of the team died. She was 13 when the voices first called her name. They said she'd save France, and she believed them. By 17, Joan was leading armies, not just fighting, commanding and winning battles. Follow for more real historic stories. If you think love is all about passion and poetry, then time to meet medieval marriage, where it was more about practicality and potatoes. In the Middle Ages, love was a luxury, not a necessity. Marriage was like striking a business deal, a way to gain land, secure alliances, or just find a partner tough enough to last the winter, and mild enough not to stab you over a bad harvest. Courtly love, all poetic and unrequited. Real couples hoped for enough bread, and enough toes by spring, anniversaries, celebrated by sharing an extra onion and not arguing over who tracked manure into the hut. Medieval romance, practical, gritty, and definitely not Instagrammable.
What's striking is how often the warning signs were visible. Not hidden, not secret, just ignored.
Ever wondered how medieval folks hit the road? Spoiler. It wasn't pretty. Roads were muddy, bandits were everywhere, and bridges were more myth than reality. A trip from town to town could take days, if you were lucky to arrive with all your belongings, or your teeth. Merchants travelled in caravans. Pilgrims trusted in God, and sometimes regretted it. Nobles had guards, but even they weren't foolproof. Maps? Rare. Road signs? Non-existent. West? More like the way the cow is facing. And yet people travelled, traded, and kept the world turning. In medieval times, the weather wasn't just bad. It was personal. Too much rain? Your crops drowned. Not enough? They dried up like crusty bread. Storm? Famine. Cold? Witchcraft? Heat wave? Clearly punishment from God. Probably for dancing too close to the tavern. No boots, no umbrellas. Just mud, cloaks, and praying your food wouldn't kill you. The weather didn't report to you. You reported to it. What happens when a grandma accepts a royal duel? At King William III's coronation, the royal champion throws down a glove to challenge anyone who questions the king's rule. Tradition, drama, very serious. Then suddenly, an old lady in mittens and lace runs out of the crowd, grabs the glove, whispers something to the champion, and runs off. The king's guards, useless. The crowd, stunned. The champion, red in the face. And yes, she got away. 1368, a Portuguese fortress, starving, surrounded, desperate. But instead of surrendering, they baked bread with their last handful of flour. They hurled the loaves over the walls, with a note, "Let us know if you'd like more." Believing the defenders had endless supplies, the Spaniards abandoned the siege. One brilliant bluff saved a fortress. Between 1600 and 1800, over 1.25 million Europeans were captured by Barbary pirates and sold into slavery. Villages across England, Ireland, Spain, Italy lived in constant fear. Men, women, and children dragged from their homes, shackled and lost forever. This was the forgotten slave trade, hidden in the mists of history.
When we say history repeats itself, it's not events that repeat. It's behavior. The setting changes. The instincts don't.
Everyone thinks being a knight was all honor and glory. But really, it was 60 pounds of sweaty metal, teeth you could count on one hand, and armor that smelled like goat stew. You trained since childhood, not with swords, but with chores. Fetching armor, feeding horses, and scrubbing chainmail till your fingers bled. And when you finally became a knight, congrats! You now get to fall off a horse, suffocate in your helmet, and go to the bathroom directly into your trousers. Chivalry. Oh, and forget loyalty. Knights switched sides faster than a tavern wench dodging taxes. Glorious, right? In 1600s England, witch executions were community events. Bring your kids, grab a pie, and watch a public hanging with your neighbors. Nothing says Christian values like cheering while someone's burned alive. For centuries, English royalty claimed they could heal diseases by touch. Charles II alone touched over 90,000 sick people. They even gave out magic coins like medieval participation trophies. Science? Nah. Just pray the king doesn't have the flu.
They conquered more land than any empire in history. But how did they survive? We look at maps at the vast stretches of Asia and Europe the Mongols conquered, and we think of armies, of tactics, of Genghis Khan's military genius.
These stories feel distant because they're old, but the thinking behind them isn't. That's why they still matter.
Ever wonder how a 20-year-old handles a royal funeral? Hint, it's not with tissues. Alexander's dad, King Philip, gets taken out. Most of us would need a moment, right? Not Alexander. He brushes off the funeral snacks, stands up, and heads straight for business. No poems, no tears. Just, Daddy's gone. I'm king now, obey me or else. The Greek cities, they fold faster than a cheap toga. But not the Spartans. Oh no. The Spartans basically shrug and say, we don't follow, we lead. Classic Sparta. If anyone's going to be difficult on purpose, it's them. Grief? That's for people without empires to build. Got a fever in 1607? Forget antibiotics. Doctors prescribe powdered mummy, as in, dig up an Egyptian corpse, grind it into dust and snort it like medieval ibuprofen. Side effects may include curses, vomiting, and eternal damnation. Why did medieval aristocrats serve food that stared back at you? Wait till you hear about their dinner parties. Let's dive in. While peasants spooned up turnip stew, the wealthy dined on peacock pie. Yes, actual peacock. They'd roast it, then dress it back up in its own feathers, so it looked alive on the platter. Basically, dinner with a side of taxidermy. Because nothing says I'm rich like serving food that could almost blink. Bon appetit, just hope your meal doesn't make eye contact. This is why you never trust a god with your salad. Egyptian mythology, way weirder than you think. Ready for a story about divine drama and veggies? So, Seth tries to humiliate Horus. But Horus's mum, Isis, the queen of petty revenge, collects Seth's donation and flips the prank. She pops Horus's essence onto a magical lettuce leaf. Seth eats it. Boom, pregnant, that's right. A full-grown chaos god, upstaged by a salad. And people say mythology isn't realistic. Like and follow for more divine disasters. When two monks knock on your door at midnight, they're not there for cookies. It is 1504. Rome is a pizza oven. A scared girl answers the door. Two monks enter. One is silent and terrifying. The other fondles her chin like he's browsing fruit at a market. Balatrone's daughter? He asks. She nods. And just like that, it's therapy hour for a dying cook who poisoned someone, stole a letter, and now wants forgiveness. Because nothing screams holy man like murder, theft, and a last-minute confessional. The Lord may forgive. The Pope wants your poison recipe.
If you stayed until here, you already understand something most people miss. History isn't about dates or names. It's about patterns, and there are many more worth noticing.